What's up, guys? This is Jimmy with High Strength Systems, and I don't know if I should keep saying with High Strength Systems. I'll be working on transitioning all of my marketing and stuff over to Reactive Training Systems, as I'm now working there full time. But anyway, today's video is going to be all about a few things. One, I'm ending my hypertrophy phase, and I also ended my job at the gym in Columbus. But mostly I want to talk about my training. So for the past 5 weeks, I've been running a hypertrophy block essentially. So here we see a lot of bench up, like pec work and just general strength work without a lot of the specificity of competition lifts. So that's why you see feet up bench, a lot of close grip bench with bands, without bands, a lot of Myo-Rep work. Myo-Reps are somewhat complicated, but the idea is that if you've ever heard of blood flow restriction training, you can do that with a band and you wrap it around your muscle, and you can get a decent amount of hypertrophy with a lower weight. So the risk to reward is very low. So you're really not going to risk anything, and you're probably going to get a lot of reward, i.e. hypertrophy. So with Myo-Reps, the goal is similar in that we're not using a super intense weight, but we're able to get a lot of volume by doing a top set, say at 11, and then we do rest pause sets after that, and then we basically do as many rest pause sets until we can't anymore. And we auto-regulate it, so the top set is at a 9, and then the rest pause sets go till failure essentially, but we want to avoid failure, so we use the word RPE 10. Towards the end of the block, I also did some singles, like 2 singles. I think I did a single on bench, squat, and deadlift. Here's a double actually after that single of 355 for 2. A lot of rowing work. I did seal rows, every kind of row, lat pull downs, face pulls, Penley rows. I probably rowed like 4 or 5 times a week. And I also had to do rows for 15 minutes each on my GPP days. Additionally, I did some cardio. I did a lot more abs, just basically way more volume than I'm used to, but a lot less intense than I'm used to as well. So it gave me a lot of time to have some fun with training, and I think that's a really important part about training in itself, is that you enjoy it. It's not too stressful. I get a good pump. It makes me feel like a bodybuilder a little bit, but I'm also training relatively specifically to powerlifting. So, the goal is to get more muscle so that I can actually use that muscle to hopefully improve my lifts at the end of the next official training block, because this is more like a quote unquote off-season training block. I've made a post the other day about how hypertrophy isn't necessarily super important, and that assumes that we have some muscle on us, because once we have enough muscle, how much more hypertrophy do we need to improve our lifts? At a certain point, you just want to improve that skill. You want to get pretty specific with your training, and you want to improve the neurological efficiency of the movement with specific accessory movements like pin presses and board presses for the weak ranges of motion, and training the strength that's specific to the lift that you're trying to get good at versus just general hypertrophy. Having muscle itself is good, and a bigger muscle is technically a stronger muscle, but you can't do anything with it if you don't emphasize technique and skill work and specificity. So hypertrophy at the end of the day is usually, you just need to have it. You need to have some of it before you can start really working with technique work, and for that technique work itself to actually be effective as well. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of my hypertrophy training, and unfortunately this week was my first week of the next training block with a lot more specificity, as I talked about, but I already have injured my pec. I got carried away with how good I was feeling in my muscles, but my tendons weren't ready when I started doing some heavy singles, and I strained my left pec, and I got a minor strain in my hamstring, but that's actually gone by now. So doing some rehab work, and should be good to go within a few weeks back on bench, but it's always disappointing to have to go through rehab protocols when they can be avoided. So the next thing I want to talk about briefly is that I actually quit my job at Columbus Lifting Company It's a good gym, but unfortunately, I just didn't uh, mesh well with the workers there, and I didn't have the same vision for the gym as I thought I did. I don't want to talk shit or anything, but I just figure you guys should know. And now I train at Beyond Limits with a few buddies, and honestly, it's a lot more enjoyable to train with people that I like without the pressure of having to do super intense. Well, just I don't like to have too much pressure on myself to maintain my professional uh, coaching while trying to train on my own. Um, but yeah, it's just a lot more fun to kind of get away from that, and that's why I'm focusing on coaching online with Mike Tushir at Reactive Training Systems. So if you guys want to get coached or anything, I mean, I'm a pretty damn good coach, but in person at the moment, I don't think it's going to be viable until I'm out of college. So that's all I have to talk to you guys about today. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I encourage you all to rise from within. Peace.